Hello students, welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nandkyolier, and in today's session we will look at an important update that has been made to the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, where two additional types of crop losses have been covered in this crop insurance scheme. So what are these two additional crop losses that we're talking about here? The first one is the crop loss due to wild animal attack. So we will see what the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is, and we basically know that this is a crop insurance scheme where crop losses are covered. So crop losses can happen due to a lot of factors. One of them, which was not covered earlier, but it is a very important factor, that is the crop loss due to wild animal attack. For example, there are a lot of nilgai attacks or the wild boar attacks or monkey attacks in the soybean farms or in the cotton farms in Maharashtra. Then if we go to the southern states of India, there are a lot of elephant attacks on the rubber plantation, on the banana plantation in Kerala and Karnataka. So a lot of crops get destroyed because of these wild animal attacks, and these types of losses unfortunately were not covered earlier. So now in this revised framework, which is going to be implemented from the Kharif season of 2026, this loss is also going to be covered. Farmers are going to be compensated for their crop losses due to wild animal attacks. And the second type of loss which has been added is specific to the paddy crops. So this is the paddy crop loss due to inundation or flooding. So we know that paddy is grown under water submerged conditions, and many a times these crops are destroyed due to inundation or flood like situations. So in those cases also these crop losses were not covered. Interestingly, they were covered till 2018, but in 2018 they were removed from the list. These types of crop losses were removed from the list, and they were not being covered since 2018. But under this revised framework, which is going to be implemented from the Kharif season of 2026, paddy losses due to inundation or flooding will also be covered. Now, we will talk about the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana in detail. We will see what kinds of crop losses are covered and what was the need to bring in these two types of crop losses into the revised framework. But before we do that, very briefly, I want to tell you that there's a new course that has been launched by the Drishti IAS platform. That's the GS Studio Foundation live online course, where you can benefit from its affordability and its accessibility, because you're getting a great course, the complete comprehensive coverage of your Prelims Plus means at a very affordable price. And the batch is going to commence on 10th of December. English medium batch is going to commence on 10th of December. So the admissions have already begun. I urge you to go to the Drishti Learning app, to the website, and explore the features of this course. GS Studio Foundation live online course. This is a very affordable course. The goal behind bringing this course was to make it accessible to everyone so that everyone can turn their UPSC dream into a reality. So you get everything, the complete coverage of Prelims Plus Mains at a very affordable price of 24,999 only. So for any more information that you require on the course, you can go to the website, you can check out the course features, and you can call us at 87501, and our team will help you out with all sorts of doubts and queries. So please go ahead and check this course out. Now let's come back to our topic, which is the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So let's begin by understanding this scheme. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, which is also known as what? The crop insurance scheme, was introduced in 2016, And this is a crop insurance scheme, which means that it aims towards stabilizing the farmer income, which aims towards covering the losses, the crop losses that these farmers have due to various types of factors. One of the factors which has now been added is the crop loss due to wild animal attack. And there are a lot of more factors, localized calamities as well, because of which the crops are destroyed. And all these things, the crop losses are covered in this insurance scheme, crop insurance scheme, which is the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, introduced in 2016. Now, is this a central sector scheme or a centrally sponsored scheme? So this is a centrally sponsored scheme. So what will this mean? This means that the cost, and in this case the cost is going to be premium, because we are talking about an insurance scheme. Here there is a premium, so the cost is going to be shared, the premium cost is going to be shared between the central government as well as the state government. So the central government and the state government are going to share the cost, they're going to share the implementation as well. That is why this is a centrally sponsored scheme. And here we talk about insuring these crops, ensuring the crop losses, compensating the crop losses. So this is done, farmers pay a premium and the remaining premium is paid by the central government and the state government. And here all types of crops are covered, like the Kharif crops, the Rabi crops, and the commercial or horticulture crops. So the farmers pay one part of the premium and the remaining is shared between the central and the state government. So for Kharif crops, the farmers pay 2% of the premium. For Rabi crops, they pay 1.5%, and for the commercial and horticulture crops, they pay 5%. So the remaining, that is 95% in this case, is shared between the central government and the state government. This way the farmers are able to compensate the crop losses that they have due to various reasons, and they also get motivated, they feel encouraged to keep continuing with their agriculture practices and keep stabilizing their income, which is very much required for them. So this is how the crop losses are covered, and all sorts of crop losses are covered, which means that the losses from sowing to harvesting are covered. All types of damages, all types of losses that can happen between sowing to harvesting, they are covered. And that is not all. There are going to be losses pre-sowing and post-harvesting also. So pre-sowing is also covered. That is conditions of prevented sowing, that the farmers purchased the seeds but they were not able to sow it due to various conditions, weather conditions, let's say. So prevented sowing is also covered. And what happens after harvesting? So post-harvest losses are also covered. So you see, this is a holistic coverage: sowing to harvesting, pre-sowing, post-harvest. And then there are some localized calamities also that are covered. Localized calamities are going to be local in nature. Different districts are going to be vulnerable to different types of calamities, like there could be landslides, there could be hailstorms, there could be flooding. And this is the category where flooding or inundation earlier used to reside since 2018. But in 2018, inundation was removed from the list, and now this has been put back to the localized calamities list. So these are the different types of losses that are covered under the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. And if we talk about the recent update that has been made, so I told you the wild animal attack is going to be covered. So how will this work? Now different districts again are going to be vulnerable to different kinds of wild animal attacks. I just told you that in the south, elephant attacks are more common. In the north, you have different types of attacks. So who is going to identify this list? It is the states. because this is a centrally sponsored scheme. The implementation is also shared between the central government and the state government. So the states are going to identify the list of wild animals that are going to be, that are most likely to attack any district. So the vulnerable districts are going to be identified. All these wild animals are going to be identified, and this list is going to be created by the state governments. And in case there is a wild animal attack, then the farmers will have to report their loss within 72 hours. They will have to report their crop loss within 72 hours. And here also they are going to make use of technology, because they will have to upload the geo-tagged photos highlighting the loss. So we are also making use of technology over here to reduce, any manpower efforts that will have to be made. So geo-tagged photos are going to be uploaded, and all the officials can basically verify those photos, verify those images, and field visits can happen. And finally, once everything is verified, they can be compensated. The farmers can be compensated for their loss. So the wild animal attack list is going to be prepared. The wild animal list is going to be prepared by the states. And whenever there is an attack and the crop has been destroyed, then the farmers will have to report their losses within 72 hours. And in case of the paddy loss due to inundation, so I told you earlier it was covered till 2018, it was covered. Now, what do you think could be a possible reason that we removed it and now we are back to covering it again? So we removed it because of something that's known as a moral hazard. Now please understand this. Paddy is grown in water submerged conditions. We are covering inundation, we are covering flooding, which is not a man-made disaster. This is a natural disaster. But the crop can be destroyed due to flooding. That is not a man-made disaster. But it can also be destroyed due to over irrigation. And this is a human negligence. Over irrigation is not a natural disaster. So crop losses due to flooding will be covered, but crop losses due to over irrigation or farmer negligence are not going to be covered. So earlier also what used to happen, it got very difficult to verify the claims. If farmers say that their paddy crop has been destroyed and a field visit happens, now how are you going to identify if the paddy crop has been destroyed by normal standing water or by flood water? It's very difficult to identify, it is very difficult to verify, and this is something that's known as a moral hazard, where farmers can have false claims. At times, these farmers can also have false claims stating that their crop has been destroyed due to flood situations, whereas the actual scenario could be of over irrigation. So it was very difficult, and that is why it was removed from the list. But then the people had to understand, officials had to understand that this is a very common crop loss. Farmers are facing a lot of issue because of this thing. So ultimately it had to be put back into the category. This time more vigilance is going to be there. More vigilance of the entire issue will happen, and proper surveillance is going to happen. Proper field visits are going to happen, and whenever such claims are made, proper verification is also going to happen. However, all this will be difficult because this is a water submerged condition, but then the officials are going to do it because they had to acknowledge that this is a very important type of crop loss. So this is what's happening in the update. Now we have added wild animals. We have also added paddy crop losses due to inundation or flooding, which earlier used to exist, but they were removed, and now they are finally put back into the list. So that was all for this video. We understood what the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is and what are the updates that have been made in the revised framework. I hope you were able to revise everything, recall everything, and you enjoyed the discussion. Now, as always, let us look at a question for prelims. With reference to recent changes announced under the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, consider the following statements. 1. From the Kharif 2026 season, crop losses caused by wild animal attacks will be covered under PMFBY. 2. Paddy crop losses due to inundation will be included under the localized calamity category. 3. Under the scheme, the entire insurance premium is paid by the central government. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 1 and 2 only, C. 2 and 3 only, or D. 1, 2 and 3. Please read all the statements carefully and provide your answers in the comments section. Thank you for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.